and welcome to SkyWatch Television. I'm Joe Artis Horn. Today we continue week 3 in a special series that we're doing about the brand new 6-DVD, 6-part docu-series, Rescue Us, waging war on a malevolent industry that is systematically destroying innocence. Before we get into today's discussion, let me introduce our very special guest. She's the survivor of one of the most extreme cases of child abuse in Missouri state history. She's now a child advocate and featured in the Rescue Us series, Samantha Orr. Samantha, first, it's so wonderful to have you here today. Your childhood was a traumatic nightmare by anyone's standard. I remember sitting with you almost 3 years ago now doing parts of the interview, and I was just thinking about my own children, and I was just aghast several times. I came home so heavy that day, and I told my wife, and I said, I cannot conceive of how a parental unit of any kind with a modicum of decency could be capable of inflicting on a child, an innocent, defenseless child, some of the things that you lived daily. And of course, a lot of what you're going to be seeing in this episode, because we're going to show you some excerpts here in just a moment of her parts in the Rescue Us series, and also a standalone DVD, which is the documentary Rescued, Samantha's story, which we're also going to be telling you about in just a minute. These parts that you're going to be seeing, these excerpts, have been sanitized for TV. And I don't mean that there's anything inappropriate in the series. I just mean that there are certain conversations that you can't have on social media. There's certain words that you can't use on network television. So before I get into asking you any questions about the series, your childhood was so traumatic, it was covered in the newspapers, as people will see when they watch the series, media coverage and more. We're going to watch some excerpts in just a moment, but first, I just want to thank you for your bravery in trusting us at Defender Investigative Films to tell your story. Here in just a minute, we're going to be talking with Samantha Orr and what it was like to be a part of the Rescue Us series, but first, watch this.
I was watching Scooby-Doo, I was eating chicken nuggets, and then I had mac and cheese and chocolate milk. And that was the last memory of a happy childhood, and really my only memory of a happy childhood. The reason I was in foster care to begin with was when I was 6 months old, I had third-degree burns on the right side of my head, my shoulder, and part of my back from rolling into a space heater. And those burns were not taken care of by my mother. Social services put me and my 2 older siblings in foster care. We lived with some relatives for 3 years. And I was so excited when their car pulled up into the driveway because I thought, yes, I get to be with my mom and my dad, and we're gonna be a normal family. And that was so far from the truth. At that point, my parents already had 2 more kids, so we were going from a family of having 3 kids to now 5, and I found out that we were moving. We weren't going to be by family or friends. We were moving states, and so we moved somewhere in Wisconsin. I remember this little white house. I started off having a bedroom with my 2 sisters, and then the 2 boys had a room. At first, it was fine. It was the summer, so we were outside playing, and then suddenly, my days started being spent inside, where I had to do extra chores. At this point, I'm only 4 years old, so I'm doing the laundry, I'm cleaning the bathroom, I'm doing dishes, and then I'm just suddenly in timeout while the other kids are outside on a trampoline or riding their bikes or going to the park. And when I asked my mom why, she never really gave me an answer. It was just like, well, because you just have to stay inside. When any of us were too loud in the house, I was the one to be blamed. The other kids were sent downstairs to play or outside, and I was the one inside getting punished. It went from spankings to like just hitting me. Open hand, closed hand, it didn't matter. And then suddenly I didn't get a bedroom anymore. I had to sleep on the floor, in a closet, or in the basement. My siblings just kept going on with their normal lives. I was staying home when they went grocery shopping or when they went out to eat. I was left behind. Nothing I did No matter if I woke up early and tried to get the laundry done before she was awake or make sure that the breakfast stuff was set up, she was still angry that I didn't do enough or that I couldn't read her mind. And at 4.5, how are you supposed to know what to do, how to run a household, how to take care of other children? If you're looking at an overview of my childhood, besides just the day in, day out beatings, other memories I have are I was 5 years old. I was standing on a step stool doing dishes because I couldn't reach the sink. And my mom was mad that I wasn't doing them fast enough. She walked over, she had picked up one of the steak knives that I had already cleaned, and like my hand was resting on the counter, and she like just shoved it through my hand and just walked away. Didn't say anything, didn't do anything, and I'm just standing there, and I look down, and there's a little bit of blood, but I know, I'm like, if I pull this out, there's gonna be more blood. But I was like, I can't stop doing dishes. So I had to pull the knife out of my own hand, and I cleaned the knife with my left hand and like put it back. And then I just got paper towels and wrapped my hand and just kept going. And that was just when I was 5. When I was 7, we were in another house and I was in the kitchen. And at this time, I think I was just like walking through the kitchen. And there had been a cookie sheet out on the countertop. My mom was mad about something and she walked into the kitchen, saw me, saw the pan. So she picked up the cookie sheet and just kind of like frisbeed it across the kitchen. And when she yelled my name, I like turned to her. And at that time, it like hit me right in the head. So I have a scar, it's like a crescent shape, on my forehead, and I passed out immediately. And I woke up laying on the carpet. I remember looking, when I woke up, my eyes were at the ceiling. The fan was going, and I heard the TV on, and I heard voices. So like I sat up, and like I felt my head, because it was like, the last thing I remember I was like getting hit. And so there was like a bandage around my head, and my mom had stepped into the room. She was like, hey, like you probably need to rest for a little while. You can eat those grapes in that bowl, and then like when you're feeling better, you need to go clean up the kitchen. There's no like, I'm sorry, there's no like, how are you feeling? It was just like, rest a little while longer and then go clean up the mess. Well, the mess was the blood that was pouring from my head. I went into the kitchen and I had to clean up that own mess. Saturday morning, about midday, my mom took my siblings off to the park. Their plan was to go to the park and then go grocery shopping and come home. So I knew I would have about 3 hours before they got back. And she had left a list of things to do. So I finished the bathroom and the laundry, and I was working on the kitchen when my dad from his back bedroom had called for me to come back there. And I thought, oh, he just woke up from working all night. Maybe he wants lunch. So I went back there to ask him what he wanted. And it turns out he didn't want food. He wanted me to come in, close the door, locked it, and then from there, that's when really the nightmare started. He asked me to take off my clothes and lay down on the bed, and I was like, this is weird, but like, it's what my dad is telling me to do, and I don't want him to tell my mom I'm being disrespectful and not listening, because then she's gonna be mad at me anyways. And so I just remember laying on this bed, and he moved like all of the blankets away, and they had a old school clock, it was like burgundy-ish orange, and it had the bright red numbers on it. And I just stared at that when he was just touching me. And the first time it was just him touching, feeling all over, and I told him I was uncomfortable and that I wanted him to stop. And he said no. And then I think I tried to sit up and just be like, I don't want to, and that's when he slapped me. And I just stared at this clock, waiting. Okay, maybe mom will come home sooner with the kids. Maybe they didn't have fun at the park, or maybe my younger brother wanted to come home sooner. And so I was hoping they would actually come home when I normally wanted the house to myself, where it to be silent. Close to the time they were getting there, he was like, hey, get your clothes on and like go back, like go do the dishes or something. And I remember just sliding my clothes back on and walking out of that room confused. And then he called me back and I didn't want to go back there. But he said, come here. I was like, you can't tell your mom. And I was like, okay. He's like, no, you can't tell her or I'll kill you. I was like, okay. So I knew, like, I couldn't tell her. And I thought that if I did, she would still be mad at me, that it was my fault. And so I was in the kitchen still when they got back. They brought in the groceries, so I was helping put that away. And she was mad that the kitchen wasn't spotless. And I was like, nothing I could do. So the rest of that day I spent in the basement, just reliving and rethinking about all of it. And that night, I cried. And I wanted it to just be done. I just wanted to run away. I wanted to not be part of this family. And I was just hoping at this point that really my life would be over, and also hoping that it wouldn't get worse than that. Maybe that was it. Maybe this was the last bad day. For the next 3.5 years, it didn't get better. It only got worse day in, day out.
Wow. It is a tough clip to watch. It's a tough excerpt, and you realize that this isn't even the worst part of her story. This is just the part that we cherry-picked for TV. There's lots of heavy moments in the Rescue Us series just like that, but there's also moments of triumph. There's beautiful moments when you see God intervene, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. So don't despair. God is going to win this thing. You know, Samantha, your story is very hard to watch at times, but there are some beautiful moments too. And actually, as I watched the series, I cried several times watching and producing it, even though I knew what the scene was going to reveal. But by the time Brittany had put it to music and balanced everything, it was so riveting, so brave. What was it like to be a part of the Rescue Us series, and what do you hope to accomplish by sharing your testimony?
Yeah, it was an honor to be part of the series, to work alongside you guys. I always felt encouraged and safe from the beginning of letting me know if I need to take a break, if it's a tough subject, like it's okay to be sad, to show emotion, and that it's a safe place. And that's important for kids like myself to be able to share my story with people, knowing that it's going to be out there. So I just hope that my story is one of hope and light and the goodness of God, and that when you look at someone, you look at me, you might not see my scars or know my story. And when you look at a child, you might not know their story, but know that you can love them, that you can be that safe adult for them, and that you're making a difference for them.
In just a minute, we're going to be watching an excerpt from the series that catches up with her much later in her testimony, that you're going to see moments where you went to a royal family kids camp and had your first encounter with this person called Jesus. And then, of course, you tell the story later of how you met your adopted mother, Dr. Jean Orr.
Yes.
Right?
From camp. She was the camp psychologist. And so as a camper, I didn't really understand the relationship with people, and I stayed away from them, as you'll see in the series. But she still found ways to connect with me. And as a kid, I was just like, sure, there you are, but I'm just going to be here as a kid. But it was definitely a God moment for her to fall in love with me there.
It's really adorable. She describes this scene. I don't want to take too much away because you're going to see parts of this in just a minute. But there's this scene where she's at a baseball game, and you notice Dr. Jean Orr from camp.
Yep.
And you're like, I wanted her to notice me. I wanted her to remember me. I wanted her to remember that I was there and that I was at camp. And of course, after that, there were conversations with the people that then had guardianship, and arrangements were made, and you ended up becoming a part of the Orr family. And you'll get to see so much more that we can't cover in this episode. But you really became a part of their family. You really were rescued from nightmare. They became your real life brothers and sisters and moms and dads, and you had a family.
Yeah. It was the first time to truly be loved and accepted and be a sibling and be a daughter and not a servant or someone that was just tossed to the side. So
I think that Dr. Jean Orr, and of course your family, really personifies when I say there are good people in the foster care system,
Yes.
or that volunteer to become involved in the foster care system. It's a giant, ladies and gentlemen, it's a giant mission field.
Yes,
if
it
you're
is.
one who's been moved by this series, that has a heart for children, please know that this is a system that is overburdened with tons of blind spots. Kids come up missing constantly from this system. There's no chain of custody. no whereabouts, no one looking for them, you could pray about perhaps becoming a home, a part of the Good Guy team where you really do create a safe haven for the children of foster care and know that they're not going to be abused in your home and that they are going to learn about Jesus and they are going to experience true life rescue and rehabilitation. Without further ado, let's watch another excerpt from Samantha's contributions to the Rescue Us series.
Things had changed drastically. I wasn't getting hit. I wasn't being yelled at. I was being fed and cared for, but we still were going to school. I was taking some special classes to try to get me caught up because I was 2 years behind my peers. I was at summer school, and then I come home on a Friday, and my foster grandma was like, "Hey, you're not going to school on Monday." I was like, did I do something wrong? Like, did I mess up? She's like, no, you're going to a camp. What do you mean? She's like, well, you're going to a camp. It's your sister and you are going. There's gonna be other kids there, and I'm taking you there on Monday. I was like, okay. And then she was kind of just done talking about it. I was like, I had all weekend to kind of stew about what is camp, where are we going? But I didn't know how much my life was truly going to change within 5 days. And so Monday morning comes and my grandma gets us in the car and she just drops us off at our church. There are kids running around this church building, screaming and laughing and super excited. Eventually they got us all on a bus and we're driving. Eventually the bus stops and these adults are wearing the same color of shirt. They're jumping up and down. They look so excited. This lady walks up to me, she's like, "Hi, Samantha, I'm your counselor. You're gonna be with me for the week." I was like, okay. She brings me over to kind of our cabin, so she's introducing the other girls. We go inside the church and people were just talking and they start singing songs and I'm kind of just looking around, waiting for something bad to happen. At my first foster placement, I was comfortable there, but I was always on edge, not sure, am I going home the next day or is something going to happen? My second placement, I was like, okay, we've now been in foster care a while, so it's not like an awful place to be, but there's so many unknowns. And now I'm at this thing called camp, and I don't really know what's happening. We go through some activities, we go to our cabin, we go to dinner. I was like, cool, dinner, I get free meal. This is kind of nice, I don't have to like do any chores yet. We go to bed, and then on Tuesday, people are still excited. We're at an activity center, and so we're building something. And these older kids are talking about a birthday party. I kind of perk up because I was like, what do you mean birthday party? My birthday was never celebrated. Like, I wasn't someone that they wanted to be like, so glad you're alive. And I think I asked my counselor, like, what's a birthday party? She was like, well, like, we'll have some games, we'll have activities, we'll have gifts. I was like, oh, no, besides the gifts, I don't give gifts. And she didn't push it, but I knew she was kind of like weird, but move along. We are doing music, and then we're off to dinner. And at dinner, we have our meal, and then they start bringing out gifts. And there's one placed in front of me. And I was like, that's not right. My mom doesn't want me to have one. And so I kind of pushed it back to my counselor. So she sat between me and the other girl in our group. And I kind of pushed that towards her. And she's like, no, this gift is for you. She took my hand and took the bag and was like, let's go sit down and talk. And all the girls are opening their bags and they're excited. They're not even paying attention. And so she has our container here and she's taking out the toys. So the Play-Doh, the slime container, the coloring book, crayons. She's pulling out all of these items and it's like, someone wanted you to have these because your birthday is special. You should be celebrated. These are words I've never heard before. And so eventually she pulls on a teddy bear. And for an 8-year-old, normal 8-year-olds probably have had several teddy bears or a lot of teddy bears in their life. And this is my first teddy bear. And there's no tag on it, there's no price on it, but I thought teddy bears were expensive because I was like, I never got one. My counselor's like, somebody wanted you to have, this is for you, it's for Samantha, and she used my name. And I was like, oh, okay. Maybe I can be normal. Maybe I'm a normal kid. Maybe I do deserve birthday gifts and can be celebrated. And maybe these people here actually care and they do love me and they want me to be safe. And all it took was 5-10 minutes of a counselor's, dedication to sit with me and take the time to be like, this was meant for you. And instantly camp changed for me. I started questioning, what's our next activity? I wanted to do everything. We go outside and we have this birthday party, and I was having fun. I started to lower my guard and trust people. After Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, I was up ready to, let's go. There was no, I want to stay in bed. I'm like, let's go swimming. Let's go play the games. Let's even go sing the songs and listen to these stories in the play. Camp kind of was my safe haven. It was where I felt normal. And that week, by Friday, the girl sitting on the bus next to me, on the way there was a stranger. And when we were leaving, she was my best friend. And I was like, I have a friend. I have a teddy bear and I have a friend. And when I go home, I have memories and I know what a normal kid is like. And so Friday we do our songs and whatnot, and they're like, okay, we're gonna load the bus, and they hand us memory books, pictures. I mean, I don't remember pictures of me being taken growing up. The only last time I had pictures taken was when police were in our house. And so these pictures are of me playing and having fun. I have something to prove that this is real. I didn't dream it up. This wasn't some imaginary thing. This is proof that I had fun.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we need the grassroots support of our SkyWatch TV family to help us get the Rescue Us series out to as many people as we possibly can. This information is being suppressed, deleted, deplatformed, taken down, and is way too sobering for most network television outlets. We need you to get involved. We need you to join us in the efforts to get this series in front of your friends, your pastors, people of influence in government, your communities, anybody and everybody. Help us share this series not only to illuminate the many, many ways that we're losing an entire generation of children to intolerable darkness, but also to assist in the raising of an army of God's people willing to stand in the gap for them. The Rescue Us series shows the viewer what can be done by absolutely anybody willing to say, yes, Lord, I will answer the call. I will intervene for those who have no voice and for those who desperately need help. And that's why right now we're asking you to stand with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we're proud to introduce the Rescue Us special offer. For your donation of only $49.99, you'll not only receive a copy of the entire 6-DVD docu-series Rescue Us that uncovers the massive crisis destroying an entire generation of youth, all while challenging each one of us to rise up for our nation's most vulnerable and break the cycle of abuse. But you'll also receive the brand new documentary, Rescued, Samantha's story, where Samantha Orr personally takes you through her nightmarish childhood of unthinkable trauma and abuse to her total restoration in the arms of Jesus Christ. But friends, that's not all. Right now, while supplies last, we're also including in this special opportunity the 4-hour audio series on disc, The Hidden Occultism of Epstein's Orgy Island by the late Dr. Thomas Horn. Silent Cry, The Darker Side of Trafficking, featuring Yaku Bouillons, Ilanka Deaton, Dr. Thomas Horn and others, and the major motion picture movie Camp on DVD that showcases what God can do in the life of a child desperate in need of rescuing through ministries like Royal Family Kids and is inspired by true events. Sold separately, these items hold a retail value of $200. Yours now for your donation of only $49.99, which includes free shipping to all U.S. orders. But ladies and gentlemen, we are so committed to this message reaching as many viewers as is humanly possible that we want to equip you, our grassroots army of SkyWatch TV friends and family members, with an opportunity to partner with us like never before. Join us in spreading this invaluable message through the Rescue Us Partner Pack, where you'll receive 5 copies of each of the items we just mentioned for your donation of only $165. That's right, when you order the special Rescue Us Partner Pack, you'll receive 5 copies of the entire 6-DVD docu-series Rescue Us, 5 copies of Rescued, Samantha's story, 5 copies of The Hidden Occultism of Epstein's Orgy Island, 5 copies of Silent Cry, The Darker Side of Trafficking, and 5 copies of the major motion picture movie Camp on DVD. This massive collection of documentaries, audio series, and movies holds a retail value of $1,000. Yours now for your donation of only $165. With 5 complete copies of everything in the collection, that allows you to keep 1 for you and your family and 4 entire sets to share with people that you believe will also be inspired to stand up in defense of God's greatest gift to us, our children. Remember, your donation helps SkyWatch TV continue to get this important message to the 4 corners of the world. You can also stream the entire Rescue Us series and or Samantha's story right now at skywatchtvstore.com/stream. So act quickly. You can scan the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your phone for instant access to this special opportunity. Visit us at skywatchtvstore.com or call 1-844-750-4985 and ask for the Rescue Us special offer or the Rescue Us Partner Pack right now. Stand with us, help us get the word of this special project out to as many people as is humanly possible. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, Samantha Orr. Unfortunately, we're all out of time this week, but ladies and gentlemen, join us again next week because Derek Gilbert is going to weigh in on panel about some of the conversations that he and contributors to the Rescue Us series like Dr. Thomas Horn and, of course, Ali Anderson, they're weighing in on the normalization, the efforts to groom children, to normalize things like pedophilia, and also the dark occult underbelly of so many of the people that are behind these movements. They're literally Luciferian. They're literally satanic in nature, and they despise God's most precious gift to us, our children. It's not an episode you're going to want to miss. You'll have to join us next week when we return. For everybody here in studio, everybody on panel, thank you again for joining us. I'm Joe Artis Horn. Keep your eyes on the prize, which is Jesus Christ. We'll be back.